Ever since her retirement, she has been holding special classes for young gymnasts around the world. The Russian Rhythmic Gymnastics team prides itself on being strong, having won 5 consecutive victories in both individual and group performances at the Olympics. We asked Mamun the reasons behind the country's extreme strength in the sport. This is the Novogorsk Rhythmic Gymnastics Center just outside Moscow. It's the home base where selected gymnasts from all over Russia come to train. Today, Mamun is holding a special class. Over the years, she won 7 World Championship gold medals, as well as being a World Cup and Grand Prix Finals champion. She is a heroine among young gymnasts who dream of becoming the next medalists themselves. Rhythmic gymnastics is one of the most popular sports in Russia. It's practiced by around 40,000 young gymnasts, the highest number in the world. Mamun says Russia's dominance in the sport is based on the many girls wanting to build their strength and beauty.
In Russia, rhythmic gymnastics is extremely popular. It's become a standard type of training among young girls. I think one of the main reasons is that parents have seen how Russia has steadily become dominant in this sport. And of course, we are all very proud about the situation. I think it's the best sport for girls to take up because it portrays feminine beauty, and they can also cultivate their sense of music from a young age. There is so much to be gained from this sport. As a young girl, I loved watching rhythmic gymnastics on TV. I clearly remember playing with the sticks, which were attached to the balloons that were handed out to children on the street. I would tie a ribbon to them and then dance with them for many hours. That became my favorite kind of plaything. That is why my mother decided to take me to a ballet class. I think that was when my career as a rhythmic gymnast began. My fate had been determined.
Many young girls are drawn to the beauty of the sport. However, they have to face its challenges as they are growing up. It requires great flexibility. To be a top gymnast, you must maintain the same range of motion and style during and after puberty. In order to survive, you must have total control over your body.
Rhythmic gymnastics demands extraordinary things of us. The way we have to stretch and bend our body is beyond normal. We can easily train our strength and stamina, but flexibility demands something different. During puberty, our bones are growing, so that is the hardest time for us. The stretching we do to keep our flexibility puts an extreme load on our body. And when we reach around 20, we start to injure our joints and back. This is because we put such loads on our body when it's supposed to be growing. And the affected body parts start to scream.
The fierce rivalry the young gymnasts face is the grueling competition to determine the world champion. As a result of the pressure amongst the national team members and the rise of juniors, the top gymnasts are forced to live and train under great pressure.
I competed at the Olympics when I was only 20. But even then, I had to compete not only with gymnasts around my age, but also younger ones, appearing one after another. In rhythmic gymnastics, girls from the age of 15 can compete in the senior division. I may have had more experience than they did, but I was far inferior in terms of the time needed to recover my physical strength. This was a huge obstacle for me. That is why rhythmic gymnasts older than 20 are referred to as grown-ups. Russia prides itself in having the #1 bench strength, so I could always feel the younger girls closing in on me from behind. There's also the mental pressure. We practice in the gym all year round and don't have any private time. If we get a marriage proposal, we have to say no, because it's impossible to be both a good wife and a gymnast. I dedicated 4 years of my life to the Olympics, so I didn't do anything at all besides training. We practice 10 hours a day. That only leaves time for us to eat dinner and take a bath after practice. That's how our days are spent. If you want to do anything else, you'll have to skip the recovery processes, such as swimming in the pool and having a massage. But both of those activities are essential for continuing our practice the following day. If we don't let our bodies recover every day, our exhaustion will only add up, and we will no longer maintain a top position. So we just do what we're required to do, practice and recover. That's why many of us retire very early after accomplishing our mission. Achieving our goals always comes with difficulties, but we know that victory is something we can enjoy for the rest of our lives. That is how we push ourselves to continue, no matter how big the sacrifice may be.
The key person who made Russia the rhythmical gymnastics giant is Irina Viner, the head coach of the Russian national team. Soon after Viner became the head coach, Russia started to display enormous strength, monopolizing the podium at Olympic Games and other international competitions. Mamun became part of the national team in 2013. She talks about how she learned to become a strong gymnast thanks to Viner's strict instruction methods.
Irina Viner is the one who regenerated Russia's strength in rhythmic gymnastics. The more medals Russia won, the higher her requirements became. Once winning gold medals was taken for granted, there was no way we could lose. That was the responsibility she had to face. She always said, "I don't care who wins the gold medal, as long as one of you does. What matters to me is that Russian flags dominate the podium." It placed a great pressure on us, with the whole world watching how we performed. We had to fight with that pressure every time we went out on the floor. One way for us to be mentally strong was to figure out a way to forget. In order to be able to do our best performance, it was vital for us to put aside all the pressure. So we forgot about it. Whatever we were told, we'd just reply, "Oh, what?" and try not to become unstable. Failing to present your best performance at big meets like the World Championships, after all the time you've put into practicing, is something very hard to bear. You are almost traumatized by it.
In 2016, Mamun arrived at Rio de Janeiro as one of the members of the Russian national team. But soon after landing there, she was hospitalized for a week due to food poisoning. Although many people thought there was no hope of her winning the gold medal with her late start, Mamun says Viner never stopped coaching her until the very end.
I still remember it all very clearly. It was August 8th, the opening ceremony at the 2016 Olympics. Still recovering from food poisoning, I arrived at the training center and started to practice. But I had lost my touch. and I felt a lot of tension in my body. I couldn't keep myself up, and just going through the movements was so tiring I had to sit down. I needed to rest after each move I made. But Vinner relentlessly made me go through the practice menu. It may sound odd, but I'm actually grateful for what she did. She saved me from my despair. It surely was the hardest training I ever had to do in my life as an athlete. But during that time, I was somehow able to feel confident about myself for the first time ever. I felt I had finally overcome my weakness by getting back on my feet from that desperate situation. Vinner could have entrusted the job to someone else when I got sick. She could have stopped expecting me to achieve anything and left me alone. But she kept her faith in me and kept instructing me. I really like something she said. When an athlete does a great performance, it's to their personal credit. But if an athlete fails to do their best, it's the coaches that should be blamed for it. I'm sure you can understand that she's a very warm person underneath her strictness.
Mamun announced her retirement a year after the Olympics. She is currently traveling around the world, holding special classes for young gymnasts. She says she's looking for a new purpose in life.
I'd say my life was very different before and after the Olympics. Before them, all I did was practice. Many of my memories are from the training center. Rhythmic gymnastics was my life, and I had to constantly control myself. I was worried that I might get depressed after my retirement, because nothing would be left if you took the sport away from me. But maybe the classes I started are helping me not to feel the loss. I receive many offers to lecture, and I get to travel to places I never got to visit before. Meeting with children full of hope is also a big joy, and they encourage me, too. Still, I'm not sure if I can become a coach. I hold master classes, but that's not really coaching. I meet different children all the time. Becoming a coach means working with one particular athlete and closely training them. Perhaps one day I might decide to become a coach. But for now, I just want to see the world. I was never really confident about myself. Although I endured the hard training to be an Olympic athlete, I couldn't see myself performing at the Olympics. My mother would tell me many times, "You have to believe in yourself more. You can do it." She would also say, "You will win the gold medal and buy me a car." Then I would reply, "What are you saying? That will never happen." Even though my mother had faith in me, I didn't. Then, guess what happened when I won the gold medal? I received a white BMW from President Putin as a supplementary prize. My mother thinks it's too expensive a car for her to drive, and she said I should drive it because it's mine. I'm not sure if she said those things just to make me more confident. I must ask her.